What's good, party people? This is According to Woods, and I have the honor and privilege talking to a good brother. He is a drummer, a Twitch streamer, podcaster. I mean, what don't you do? But he is Raanan Bozzio. Raanan, what's going on?
It's Raanan Bozzio, but close enough.
Did I
Everybody
fuck it up?
mispronounces my name.
I fucked up the
It's
pronunciation, didn't I? Oh,
yeah, it's all good. Raining like it's raining outside, and Bozzio like Bozo the clown. So, but it's
yeah.
like I
But
said, that's
it's wild because you come from a legendary lineage, right? Your father Terry, an amazing one of the greatest drummers of all time. Which I, it's wild because you actually took up. You could have gone on a different route, and not become a drummer. My dad was a musician, jazz musician. We were kind of talking about it at Level Up, right? And or raise the bar, apologize, right? And my dad was a jazz musician. Your dad's a jazz musician. He played keyboard. I was just like, that's not my deal. My dad did it so great that I'm not going to touch it. But not only do you drum, but like, I mean, in many ways, you're kind of taking the next kind of cultivation of your dad's legacy, but making it all your own.
absolutely. And thank you for noticing that. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's kind of a wild thing, right? It's like I got to have some balls to be like, well, my dad's the greatest drummer in the world. If he could do it, surely I could do it, right? But it ended up it's worked out pretty well so far, and I'm really happy the way my life has kind of led me to the decisions that I've made and led me to where I am today. Because yeah, I didn't, I could basically play before I could walk, but I didn't choose to play until I was about 10 or 11 years old. And that's when I really actually got like inspired to start playing the drums, because before that I was into more singing, and I wanted to be a guitar player, but I can't play guitar to save my life. That's just maybe if I had started earlier. But nowadays, when I try and bend my fingers, it's like, nah, these are drumming hands, man. They're only meant to hold sticks and video game controllers, I guess too. But yeah, it's been wild. It's been a lot of fun. It's like I said, kind of a double edged sword, because you're blessed in the way that like you get a lot of opportunities. I've been able to see almost every concert I've ever wanted to see in my life, and got to meet a lot of the musicians performing. You know what I mean? So that's been a blessing. A lot of my heroes and my idols are my friends, because they grew up listening to my dad, and my dad took me to their concerts as a little kid. And over the years, I've developed friendships with, great people like Danny Carey, who's just like been such an awesome kind of mentor and buddy to me, and John Tempesta from Rob Zombie, and so many people. The list could go on forever. But yeah, that's a blessing. That at the same time, everybody's like, well, you're not as good as your dad, or why don't you do this like your dad, or this and that. But I've been able to grow and learn and understand that, the whole process of being a creative is just being yourself and finding your own voice. And sure, I'm always going to get compared to my father in certain circles or in certain ways. But realistically, I think I've made enough of my own voice loud to the point where I don't feel like I'm in his shadow necessarily. Like you said, I've kind of stepped out. I've tried to evolve past just drumming, and be more of a public figure, if you will. But yeah, man, I'm so blessed. I honestly, I'm very grateful and thankful for the amazing, charmed life that I've been able to live so far, and it's only really getting started. So I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Now, in terms of like, did you feel any pressure? Because obviously you have to feel, right? That's the part of an artist, right? You have to feel the like artistic expression in what you're doing, right? And especially, keeping the backbeat as a drummer, right? Like, was there a point where you were kind of influenced in, with your dad, or were you just like, I'm going to just go another way?
Yeah, no, absolutely. He had a big part in shaping my musical world, because you grow up. I'm going to concerts in the womb. You know what I mean? Like I've been surrounded by music my entire life and surrounded by drummers. So that, that was a huge influence. And then, when the time came when it was like my elementary school friends and we're all going to start a band, it's like, well, I was going to be the singer, and it's like, well, Mikey doesn't have a drum set. So looks like you're the drummer, pal. And it's like, okay. So yeah, I started picking up drums. I was influenced by that band Sum 41. I saw their singer playing their drummer singing and playing at the same time. And I had oddly never seen that before, even though my dad did it. And so many musicians, I mean, Grand Funk Railroad, the Eagles, you name it. Phil Collins, and nowadays Anderson .Paak too. He's probably one of the greatest singers and drummers of our current generation. But yeah, I've always loved being able to see these guys and see guys do stuff like that. So that was the first thing that really turned me on. And after discovering more music, starting to diversify my tastes more from just kind of like rock and roll and punk rock, more heavy metal stuff, more progressive metal. And then at the same time too, my dad always playing jazz music and world music, weird like African or Eastern or, Middle Eastern drum things, Indian, you name it, you know what I mean? Just sitting in the car on the way to school or to and from the arcade, my dad's playing me all this weird percussion. So it deeply, ended up shaping me just through osmosis, being, like I said, being constantly surrounded by it. I'm sure it's the same way with a lot of these, second and third generation professional wrestlers where they're in the ring, from the time that they're kids, they're playing around. You hear the stories about the Usos jumping off the top rope when they're little kids, and stuff like that. And it was kind of the same thing where, my dad's kit's set up in this big auditorium and I'd go step on and play a little bit, stuff like that. And being asked at like a German drum festival to come be a part of like a group of like second generation percussionists where there was all these guys, different lineage kind of players and stuff. And that, I was like 7 years old, 8 years old, you know what I mean? Weird shit. It's been really wild, but yeah, I can't deny how much my dad has influenced me. And not only that, but helped me over the years as I've gotten older. I've come to him for advice, not only when it comes to just technique and playing, which that's kind of really the least that I ask about or I ask him about. So much of that stuff I just picked up naturally, like through birth, through being around it all, genetically, if you will, baby, to step into a little dusty roads. You can't do if you will and not step into dusty. But yeah, I can't, the dusty threw me off track. I can't even remember.
Hey, you know what? It'll do that to you, baby. That's it. But it's funny that you mentioned the African kind of influences, because like none other than like Ginger Baker of Cream and Stuart Copeland of the Police, they almost had like an African, Middle Eastern almost kind of beat to them, and the way that they approached drumming and even the way they set up their kits was almost oblong to a lot of their contemporaries of the time.
Well, yeah, and I mean that's one of the great things about drumming in general. I guess you could say this for all music, but rhythm is so much more applicable. Like it's easier to apply a foreign rhythm to the drum set in the form of popular music, right? Than it is to like try to play some weird Eastern scale or something like that melodically. It might be a little more obvious, So yeah, and my dad since birth, and I'm sure since before I was born, has always had a really deep fascination with percussion instruments from around the world. And my garage, besides being filled with drum sets, was filled with percussion from his travels. He would go wherever he traveled, would bring back crazy things. These giant African drums, Indian drums, Brazilian drums, Latin drum, weird Australian
didgeridoos.
Weird thing where it's like
the didgeridoo, right?
Well, yeah, a didgeridoo. We had one of those, but it's like a little disc almost. It looks kind of like an oval shape, and it's attached to a string, and you swing it around and it goes,
yes,
you can make kind of like weird sounds with it. weird stuff like that. Rain sticks, of course, like surrounded our garage. So I grew up with also an exposure to that, and all these kind of different cultures of music, and also food, and that really raised me to be, I think, kind of the multicultural individual, a man of the world, if you will, that you see before you.
I don't know, and I mean, it's a great product that sits before me in a nice, comfortable chair. I mean, that's shout out to the chair, your gaming chair. You look pretty fucking chill.
I got the cheap one. I got the cheap one from Amazon, but it's good enough. It works for me, and I got yeah, right. I'm not at the what's the GTR. I have one. I have the shitty one. It's the Racing X. I think is the good ones, right? I don't know. I have the generic brand version.
Mine doesn't even have a like the stitching. You have the stitching. Mine has nothing. It's just like blank white chair.
But see, it's almost like a logo saying like Louis Vuitton with like a B, where it's like you clearly see it's not Louis Vuitton.
You gotta love those knockoffs, though, right?
That's kind of what I'm rocking. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you just look at it and glancing, if I do this or if I do one of these, it looks like the expensive chair, Yeah. So it's all good, man.
In the words of the Lucha great Conad, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. And that's right.
I love, man, that's one of my favorite podcasts.
Keep it 100.
Not to plug another podcast on your podcast.
Okay, plug away. That's
I listened to Conan a little bit before on MLW, and then as soon as he got his own show, man, I was hooked, and I don't think I've missed a single episode. And some of those early ones with Hoovy singing the song, where he doesn't think, this is like real inside podcasting for you folks who are listening. But if you can search like Hoovy sings on K100, because he basically sang along to a song and there was no music playing because he had his headphones in. So it's just an a cappella version of him singing this metal song.
And it's so Hoovy, it's Uvatun Guerrero, who has a very soft, spoken voice and everything. And then you've got that, he's the kind of a raspiness, but also, the Spanglish and what have you. And he's singing metal a cappella, which, again, you wouldn't think would be amazing, but it's amazing. But it's almost nothing compared to Tully Blanchard on a golf course. You remember that one? Oh,
no! The when he gave the promo, when he cut that promo on Tully, that was Conan's great, man. He's so fucking funny and smart, and those shows have been really good. And that don't let the truth get in the way of a good story is a great way to live your life, especially at least in the terms of podcasting, because it's like worst that happens is you get canceled. You know what I mean? And so far they haven't been able to do that yet. They're trying to, but it's not gonna happen. They ain't taking me down.
Which, for those who don't know, we're talking very inside baseball. But I mean, the first time I met you was at New Japan. What was it? Last week? Was it last week?
New Japan Strong a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were was it Eddie Torres rocking the shirt with what I found out later after like 2 a.m. ramen in the middle of Riverside, which is amazing. Shout out to Riverside. I mean, the architecture is amazing, and you get
downtown Riverside. We're the only people that are going to put over downtown Riverside right now. But Jam, it is a shoot pretty fucking dope. Everybody, if you ever do get a chance, if that's the only place in the Southern California area where a wrestling show is running, go there, because it's like, I'm sure that's all that's fucking going on. But still, as a little vacation spot, you're like, whoa, this is kind of, what's up with this? There's like ancient architecture, freaking, some stuff that looks like Disneyland, some stuff that looks like, a cool, like Chicago, like downtown, you know what I mean? Like weird stuff. And an amazing food court that we hit up before with great beer, great food. I had a mac and cheese cheeseburger, mac and cheese buns. So they formed the mac and cheese into patties, wrapped them in like panko, deep fried them, and that served as the buns for my bacon cheeseburger. And it was pretty wild.
How did you not gain 800 pounds? I would think that after eating one of those, you and Jonah would be about same
About the same, yeah,
size.
exactly. That's just the crazy trick is I eat like that day I knew I'm like, all right, I'm gonna eat some fucked up shit. So I'm just gonna like go fucking crazy as fuck with the boys, you know, hanging out with all my friends. Had the mac and cheese cheeseburger, had like 3 or 4 beers at the place, and then had a cookie. These birthday cake cookies, holy fuck, man, they were so good. And then afterwards, you know, somehow the hunger was still there. I was surprised. I thought I would kind of like tap out at that point, but then we went and got the ramen and I got the extra pork belly. And that was a really good decision on my part. I'm really glad I went through with that. And yeah, man, that's the kind of the struggle that I live with is it's like I love fucked up food so much. So I really have to kind of like almost like a drug addict. I really have to like ration it out or else I'll just go off the fucking wagon and OD completely. You know what I mean? Like I have to be like, okay, well, Saturday I can go fucking crazy. I know there's like a special occasion on Wednesday, so I'll have one bad meal, you know, but I'll keep the rest good and like all that shit. Yeah, I've been trying to kind of put on some muscle lately, so it's been a struggle because sometimes, you know, when you're taking a couple steps forward, then you take too many steps back in like too many calories and then you kind of just plateau and it's this whole thing. But now I'm on the right track. I'm trying to measure a little stuff a little more and really intake my protein and make sure that I'm going to get to that 200, baby. I'm just trying to get to 200. That's it.
Wow. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, is there? I mean, aside from drumming, because obviously it's a very physically taxing, endeavor. I mean, obviously, I mean, the kit that a lot of your dad played, throughout the years was pretty, crazy. Neil Peart of Rush, that's a crazy kit. But then you have like, absolute monsters like Max Weinberg and Travis Barker. Travis Barker does like kickboxing and Muay Thai. I don't know if he does the jiu-jitsu, but definitely the stand-up game because they attack the damn drums, right? And physical kind of acumen helps their overall longevity.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm a huge advocate of just getting out there and doing something, whatever you can do to, like I said, increase your just general longevity and your happiness, man.
Yeah.
There's something with the dopamine or serotonin or whatever the fuck gets released when you work out that like my mental health for sure, since I've been consistently working out is a lot better. And my overall I mean, not that I was some depressed guy or anything, but I find it much easier to find the positive in things. And like really the most depressed times I am now is like I hurt myself and I can't work that out or some shit like that. You know what I mean? That's really fucking sad. Everything else in life is like it comes and goes or it's out of your control if that's not the case, you know? So yeah, I just anybody doing any physical activity is great. I love martial arts. I thought I would be better at striking.
Really?
Considering the drumming thing, but I actually tended to gravitate to the grappling much more. And maybe that's because, I mean, I had a background doing a little bit of karate as a kid for like 3 or 4 years. And then I did amateur wrestling for like 2 years. But I really got more into music around the time that I stopped wrestling. It was like, okay, wrestling and karate were coming to a close when like I'm starting to play in bands or play with my friends. And now music becomes a cool thing and karate's like whack or whatever. I'm really bummed that I didn't stick with it because of how much I'm into it now. I'm kind of trying to make up for lost time big time. But yeah, I love jiu-jitsu. I love working out, strength and conditioning stuff, doing like kind of weird stuff. I wouldn't call it CrossFit because I don't like that connotation, but like unconventional movements and exercises and stuff like that, like steel maces, kettlebells, tires, and hitting a tire with a sledgehammer. There's nothing more fun than that, man. You get your Triple H on or you get your Slipknot on or whatever, and you just fucking hit that hammer and you feel like a savage. It really harkens me back to what I'm sure my Viking ancestors were doing at some point, you know? I think it's that primal nature. It comes out in you. And yeah, same thing with like grappling, having to fight for your life, literally.
Yeah.
Like Joe Rogan and a lot of other people have said, like, try being an asshole after like a 2-hour jujitsu class, you know, It's really hard. It's
No,
hard
for
to care or get pissed off about anything. You're just like, whatever. I just want to go home and shower and eat.
Yeah, no, that's the deal. I mean, like you could be trying to like redline it to class and everything like that, and you're like, you just have this pent up anger because, like, hey, traffic. We live in LA, right? Traffic kind of sucks at times.
Traffic is inevitable.
Yes, absolutely. But the thing about it is, after you done an hour, 5 minute increments, obviously different schools, different senseis, different methodologies, but like theoretically 30 minutes of instruction and then 5 minute rounds of 30 minutes at a time where you're fucking surviving for your life, where people are choking you out with their feet, their everything, like especially gi, man. Somebody chokes you out with a shirt. What the fuck are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm all good. The only thing I use a gi for is to wipe my mats and to clean the floor with my mats. But that's a little Eddie Bravo for you all.
Yes.
10th Planet.
Funny that you said that though, because I just saw a picture of Felicia O, who's a black belt under John Jock Machado. She posted a picture of her, John Jock, and Eddie. I think it was maybe last night, and Eddie is in a gi. So yeah, Eddie. I mean, that's his sensei. So if anybody.
You respect the sensei. He's just cutting promos, man. It's just like the people who get pissed off at Colby Covington. It's like, come on, bro. He's playing that shit. It's like you might as well get pissed off at the fucking Undertaker for fucking stealing people's souls. You know what I mean? If you're gonna get mad at Colby Covington for whatever the fuck he's saying.
Hey, as a 30-some-odd-year-old dude, I'm not entirely convinced that if I shut off all the lights anywhere I'm at, that I won't hear a dong and the shrill of, oh, yes, the great Paul Bear. And fucking
somebody else has to shut the lights off. That's the caveat. That's the problem. You've been trying to do it by yourself.
Yeah.
If somebody else shuts them out.
That's it. That's a wrap. Fuck that. I'm out of here. Which, I mean, we met via wrestling. And that's one of the things that I love about wrestling. To me, it's a combat sport, but combat sports in general is like the togetherness that it can bring. I mean, Sans, the fucking guy last night at Raw who fucking speared Seth Rollins. Did you see that?
That was fucking insane, bro. I was just watching Raw back too, like as I was working out, and I saw that they cut whatever my broadcast that I was watching had it cut. But yeah, the best part of that was Michael Hayes standing in the background.
Yeah, right.
Like it was like the Homer Simpson or whatever, the guy with the whips, the little silhouettes. It was fucking amazing. Or maybe like Michael Myers too. Michael P.S.
A little bit of Michael Myers.
Yeah. He was ready, dude. He was ready to throw down, bro. He was about to go out there and fucking stomp somebody with his pimp shoes.
Fucking Backstreet, man.
Dude, his fucking toes like point out like fucking 6 inches out past where his foot actually ends on his boots, those would fuck somebody up real bad.
Yeah. Also, one of the newest agents in WWE, former WWE star Jimmy Wang Yang, also kind of fucking
Jimmy.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, man.
Yeah.
I mean, is Nydia in there too, or
right.
What the fuck, man?
And hey, good for Jimmy. Congrats on the job, my man. You deserve. He's a great worker, great person, from what I could tell. I don't know him personally, but he seems like a pretty genuine dude from the people that I know that are mutual friends with his.
Yeah, no, 100%. And his daughter, Jazzy, man, she's coming up through the Indies. She was on the NWA Empower all-female NWA pay-per-view, so like big things for her. The second, third, fourth generation, folk. You guys are fucking coming to rule shit, man, wreck shit.
Hell yeah, man. There's no other option. You know what I mean? It's either that or fade away into obscurity or mediocrity, and that's fine too if that's what you want to do. Honestly, man, everybody has their path in life. It was just some weird thing that led me down the same fucking road that my dad did. And, you know, I think a lot of it was too him not pressuring me to play the drums and not pressuring me to do anything, and just say, hey, you do your thing, you be you, you know, you be the best you that you ever can. And I think that's the narrative in a lot of our generation's parents, you know what I mean? Most of us, or at least most of the people I know, have said it's a lot of the same thing. And it's sad that there is still some of that going on where it's like, oh yeah, my dad didn't let me play drums, or my parents wouldn't let me play music, or this or that. I mean, my singer, she was kind of sheltered for a little while. My singer in Chainflower, you know, she wasn't allowed to listen to certain bands for a really long time until she was older, you know, into her teens, because, you know, they were considered evil and like all this kind of stuff. So it's weird because you'll be talking about like classic songs or like, you know, Dio or Rainbow, blah, all this stuff, and she's like, what? You know what I mean? Like, she has no idea about it, and with fair excuse, you know what I mean? It wasn't her fault, but after so many years, she was so determined and really proved to her mom, like, look, singing is my life. I've been singing since I could walk, and, you know, she made it her career. And mom said, all right, you know, guess you can listen to whatever you want now. You know, I see how serious this is, but yeah, it's sad to think that there's a world where everybody's parents aren't the most progressive. And granted, I'm not expecting everybody to be the most understanding people in the world,
Right.
but at least, you know, encourage, you know, following your passion and living your life to the fullest, and you know, going after your dreams. Because, man, as great Jim Ross once said, tomorrow is never guaranteed. You know, and it's, you gotta live it like it's your last every day.
No, 1000%. Which, I mean, talk to us about Chainflower. I mean, obviously, pandemic hit everybody weird and shit, but you guys were, you know, getting it together, and then fucking 2020, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was wild. Right as we kind of came together, it was like October of 2019 is when I first kind of officially, or November of 2019, I first officially joined the band. And then, yeah, we, you know, basically worked on the songs, worked on writing some new stuff. And then we're planning on some touring in March of 2020, you know, as I'm sure a lot of people were.
Mm-hmm.
And that got canceled. But, you know, that was just a string of like, I had so many things get canceled. I was supposed to go to Australia in February, but that got canceled because of the fires.
Yeah.
You know, and then like shortly after that, COVID hits, and it's like, okay, I guess there's going to be no music for the foreseeable future. So I started working on like kind of getting my Twitch channel together and working out and stuff like that, and kind of focused on different aspects of my life. And then a couple months into it, you know, the guys hit me up again and we're like, hey, let's, you know, let's record some new music and let's just see what we can do. And we were always hoping, okay, cool, let's book some stuff for September, or, you know, whatever the next opening we thought was going to be. And then boom, 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 just kept getting shut down. So yeah, we just used that time to kind of work on new songs, you know, kind of hone our, get tight, get our live show as together as we could. And, you know, we did as much press as we could as well. We released a couple things in the meantime. And yeah, it's going pretty well. I think the next project we're going to do, whatever, I'm sure I'm not going to get fucked up for spoiler alert, but we're supposed to do a cover of Sweet Leaf by Black Sabbath.
What?
Yeah, and we're going to be doing some things that tie into some hemp companies and some cannabis companies here, hopefully in the near future. You know, and that kind of being the pushing off point. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to work on a cover of that and kind of make that song our own, because it's a song I'm a fan of, not only musically, but, you know, methodologically.
Yeah, methodology or something like that.
Methodologically.
Okay, yeah, let's do that.
Methodically, whatever.
Methodically.
Having to do with the fuck, dude. I'm
Mentholate
done. I'm done.
Are we putting Vicks on your chest, bro?
Well, you know, that just goes to show you how much Sweet Leaf I've been partaking, and I can't even fucking speak right now. But yeah, it's gonna be fun. Hopefully, some more shows in the near future. We just played like our first official show in October. So that was a lot of fun. Before that, we did like some awards shows and different appearances, but that was the first one. We're like, okay, we're out on the streets now. And it went really well. I was really happy with the reception. You know, our buddy Eddie was there, and he loved it. He you know, and he's a really good litmus test for music. Our friend Eddie Torres, the Rock and Roll Beer Guy podcast, because he's very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable. I mean, he not only is a musician himself, but he is a true music fan. He goes to all the concerts, is constantly listening to new music. I've kind of become like a little jaded in that way, to where I'm like not always discovering new stuff, because of so much of my life has to do with learning songs or, you know, playing music and stuff like that. And most of my downtime, I like to like listen to podcasts, you know, do other stuff, kind of separate myself a little bit from music. That way, when I'm doing it, I can kind of completely envelop myself. And also, that's another double-edged sword, but kind of keeps me away from outside influence, to where like I can formulate my own thoughts a little bit better, and I don't feel like I'm just ripping off other people's songs, because sometimes I'll think I've written the greatest song ever, and then it's like, oh fuck, that's fucking, you know, that's a Leonard Skinner song. Like, how the fuck did I fuck that up, you know? So, but yeah, Eddie, him speaking out and saying that he really dug it, meant a lot to me, because just the musicians he hangs out with and listens to all the time, he's got a very good ear. So to have him really behind us and kind of, you know, believing in us made me feel pretty good, because everybody else who comes to the show, not to say everybody else, but a lot of the other people are friends, whatever, you know, they're always going to tell you do good. They're never going to give you the honest kind of truth. And I know, like, from my really close friends, they're going to be like, yo, this either sucks or like it's good. And if they say it's good, then I'm going to believe it's really good, you know?
Yeah, shout out to fucking Eddie. And you guys doing your first official show, which should have happened a year before, but shit was wild. And even like, you kind of skirted a bunch of things. Like, you were mentioning going to Australia and the fires and everything. Like, we went from like burning koalas and shit. You remember seeing that, like burning koalas and and then like
it was a big thing. I was freaking out. I was like, is this gonna fucking affect our shit? Like, are we gonna be able to go over there, come back, like whatever? And then when you know it, it's like probably not going to be a lot of turnout to these shows, considering the fucking cloud of black smoke that's encompassing the fucking continent right now. But so yeah, there was that. And then I remember going to a concert when COVID was first, like, there was rumblings of it. It was like the beginning of March or like tail end of February. And people were hearing like, yeah, China is like going through this shit. And for the first time in my life at a rock concert, there was a line for the sinks. People were actually washing their hands after they went to the bathroom. Wow. It was insane. I was like, okay, maybe I could get used to this. This is actually not so bad. Like, people are actually washing their hands. Way to go. Congratulations. Because if you've ever been to a rock concert and you've been in the men's bathroom, you'll see a lot of people taking that employees must wash hands sign very lightly. And that's kind of disheartening to just know that, like, oh gosh, it's a sad part of humanity. And this was something where I was like, oh, hey, this could be good. And then I'm sure now there's backlash. People are like anti-washing their hands now, you know?
Yeah.
Washing your hands is a conspiracy.
Oh, there's fucking Reddit groups, bro. There's Reddit groups. It's weird. It's fucking weird. But one thing that is kind of weird, right? And it's something that connects you, me, Eddie Torres, Josh Barnett, is a fucking love for wrestling, right? So, you know, aside from the music side, right? Like, when did wrestling come into your life? What era?
Okay, so my earliest memories of wrestling were Hulk Hogan. I remember hearing about Sting, but not really seeing him.
Mm-hmm.
And then Yokozuna, British Bulldog, the 1, 2, 3 Kid. I remember hearing about those wrestlers, but not really watching. I saw Yokozuna and British Bulldog. I remember knowing who the 1, 2, 3 Kid was and never having seen him, because it was like when we all played wrestling with my older cousins and, you know, friends and stuff like that. like everybody was a wrestler. It's like, okay, I was 1, 2, 3 kid because I was the little one. You know what I mean? I was the young one. So that name always kind of resonated with me. And then I remember playing the WrestleMania arcade game, you know, that everybody played. That was like Mortal Kombat with the digitized graphics.
Yeah.
You know, had Bret Hart and Lex Luger and, you know,
Luna
Bam Bam
Vachon.
Bigelow, you know, all those people. Doink the Clown, you know.
Yeah.
And so I knew that roster of wrestlers for sure, you know, Shawn Michaels. And then it never really saw wrestling, but, you know, loved Hulk Hogan's movies. I loved, what was it, Mr. Nanny. Was a big fan of that, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, huge fan of Mr. Nanny. My aunt had the cassette tape. I remember watching it at my cousin's house all the time. And then 98 comes around. And one bald son of a bitch, one tough son of a bitch from Victoria, Texas, comes stomping his way into a little 8-year-old Raanan Bozzio's heart. And, you know, saw him stunning people, saw him just being a badass. And I remember calling my dad shortly after and being like, this had to be within the first week or two of me seeing Stone Cold wrestling. And it's difficult for me to pin down the exact time that it was.
Right.
I always say around November of 98. I like to think that, but it could have been earlier. It could have been like August, could have been SummerSlam times. But I remember a lot of things that happened in November or like December, that area, going into the WrestleMania thing. Oh, and I also remember seeing Austin and Tyson have the face-off too.
Yeah.
Before, but I remember seeing that and having those kind of imagery and being like, this guy's fucking cool. So I called my dad and I was like, Dad, you're not going to believe this. There's this guy, Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's bald. He's badass. He goes and kicks everybody's asses, and he fights against all these people that, you know, that are evil to him. And he's just he'll take them all on, you know, he's like a movie star, you know? And my dad's like, cool, you know, that's awesome. You know, loved it. I guess because of the popularity of wrestling at 98, he saw it flipping the channels one night in a hotel room, and he's flying back from wherever, and he has a connecting flight in Dallas to Austin. And the flight in Dallas, as he's getting on the plane, he sees in first class Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Wow.
Or a Stone Cold standing in front of him as they're walking. They haven't even gotten to the seats, right in front of my dad. And he goes, excuse me, sir, are you Stone Cold Steve Austin? He's like, yeah. He's like, please, like, take care of your bags and get yourself a drink, like, whatever, like, do your thing. But when the plane is kind of going, would you mind if I got an autograph? You know? And he's like, yeah, sure. Let me just get my drinks. Let me put my bags up and, you know, come by when the plane's, you know, chilling or whatever. And so fucking couple minutes later, Dad comes by with one of his little like Post-it note kind of cards. You know, it wasn't a Post-it note, but like a little small notepad.
Yeah.
And you know, had this autograph from Stone Cold, brought it home to me that you know, I guess that night or the next day or whatever. And he was the fucking superhero, man, because it was like, oh man, Dad got Stone Cold's autograph. It was so cool. And it was a really, really awesome moment. You know, I'm sure he didn't have to do that. I'm sure, especially that time, so many people were coming up to him and asking him for autographs, and especially saying, oh, yeah, my son, and probably wanting to sell it. But he was nice enough to my dad and hooked him up. So it was really cool. And then years later at Ozfest, 2001, I believe, in San Antonio, a young Raanan Bozzio is backstage along with a Stone Cold Steve Austin, who had been spending the night before partying with Rob Zombie and Black Label Society and their crew, tearing up a Joe's Crab Shack in fucking San Antonio or whatever. And yeah, apparently they got really lit the night before and got to meet Stone Cold then. Unfortunately, that was the time I was like phasing out of wrestling, so I wasn't like as excited, but it was still like a cool moment. And I have a picture. I have the Polaroid standing by my door, so every time I leave, there's like two Polaroids. There's one of my mom holding me, and then there's one underneath with me and Stone Cold. And he's doing the, you know, to be fair, he put his arm around my fucking sweaty fucking 11-year-old back, you know what I mean? And fucking, you know, barely smiled, but you got to keep the gimmick. I understand. And every time somebody comes over, anytime a girl comes in my room, she's like, "Who's that guy?" It's like, "Oh, that's my Uncle Steve."
Yeah, there you go.
It was me, my Uncle Steve hanging at Ozfest. It was a great time.
That's looking that's looking great. Which speaking of, right, Mick Mac, our friend coming over from the Eric Bischoff After 83 Weeks podcast, he first says hi. He also says WCW was better. Stunning
damn.
Steve Austin was better, and what's a Polaroid? I mean, that is fucking Mick Mac. Yo, bro.
All right. Well, I have a rebuttal for all of those questions.
Go for it.
One, WCW was not better. WCW was good. But at the time, especially as a kid, I flipped back between both and was like, WCW was whack. As a kid, I saw that shit and was like, this shit's lame. These guys are all fucking like, the ring was small. You know what I mean? Like, there was all this shit. It was not the same. And I would switch over because I craved wrestling, but it was always like, yeah, WCW's kind of fucking whack. Now, granted, nowadays, I do not hold the same sentiments. I enjoy both. I feel like they both had their era, just like I like WWE and AEW. I like bits of each product. They some things one company does better, other things the other company does better. And yeah, I mean, I've been rewatching back all those Nitros, all those classic Nitros from day one, and the classic Raws. When I first got the network, like that was my kind of mission to like track the Monday Night Wars in real time and see like what I really liked. And yeah, I mean, they're pretty neck and neck. Let's see what else we got. Stunning Steve Austin was great again, but not as good as Stone Cold. Stone Cold is the fucking man. He changed and revolutionized the wrestling business, so, and he made me a fan. So without Stone Cold Steve Austin, I probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. And I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't even be listening to this damn podcast right now. And what's a Polaroid? How old are you, son? You ain't never seen a Polaroid before? Damn, old fucking old Andre 3000 sings about it in the Shake It song. You know what I mean? Or what is it? Yeah. Well, hey, yeah. Hell yeah, hey yeah, hey. They sound pretty similar. I should do a cover of that. Hell yeah.
That right there is fucking great. Which, by the way,
Stone Cold 3000.
No, Rick Mack has got you going because he said, "Is it a video player?"
Oh my goodness.
Oh Jesus. Oh, Mick Mac. Oh, well, you know what? It's funny because if you start to get a little bit hot under the collar, he does the same thing to Eric Bischoff. So just so you know, you're in good company.
Hey man, I could get fired up, no problem.
That's fucking great. Well, here's the thing. I actually, in terms of like pops, right? Because like people will say this era of WWE, oh, Roman Reigns, he's like the top merch seller. Well, first off, I go, look how many SKUs that guy has, right? Like one of my friends kind of works with the WWE at some capacity, which is, whatever. But he was just like, oh yeah, Roman, he's so great because he's the top merchandise seller ever, right? And I was like, yeah, because he's got more SKUs than anyone else on the roster. And he's like, what do you mean by that? And then also, like 2 days later, he's like, hey, I'm backstage at Allegiant for SummerSlam. Anybody wants some merch? And he goes, and does a video. And he was like, hey, Venmo me money, I'll get you whatever. And I was like, hey, I want a Shinsuke Nakamura shirt. They don't have one. I was like, oh, what about everybody having the same amount of SKUs and whatever? Like, there's Roman Reigns, probably condoms and whatever, which, I mean, if you want to get it on, there's nothing that could soften a boner than a Roman Reigns condom.
Well, yeah, right. Jesus Christ. Acknowledge me.
I you know what? I acknowledge Ramen Roids as my tribal chief.
Ramen Roids. There you go.
Ramen Roids. That's it.
Well, you see, I agree. I was just at SmackDown in Ontario a couple, last month or whatever. And one thing I've noticed, and even the last probably 2 times that I went to WWE events, that their live merch selection is not very diverse, you know, and it makes sense because sure, they're gonna keep the high sellers. They won't have the Cena and then this and the that. But I remember when I was a kid, you know, it was that was where you went to go get your shirts. Now you go online to get your shirts. It's so much easier. You can get exactly what you want. You get the size, you can get the color. They'll make it a tank top for you. They'll do whatever the fuck, you know, and you can get a fucking keychain and you can get fucking this. You can get a fucking, like you said, a condom, whatever. Whereas, back in the day, it was like you waited for a show to come around because my parents wouldn't let me call and send a COD or whatever, you know, ship some money off for fucking, you know, to get a Y2J shirt. We had to wait until the fucking show. Or get one from Walmart or Target, you know, that they would have that was never, it was an officially licensed product, but it was never like
the one you saw on TV.
Shirt. Yeah, never anything you saw on TV. It was always a weird printout, you know, weird cutout shit. But that is kind of a bummer because they had Dudley Boys, they had Jericho, they had Kane, they had freaking, you know, everybody, Rocks, Austin, Triple H, you know, the girls, you know. And now it's like, okay, we got Roman, we got, you know, RK Bro, whatever, you know, little Finn Balor if you're lucky. But I remember only seeing like 3 or 4 things. And the last time I guess 2 times ago, I think I went there looking for a specific shirt or hoping that they would have so-and-so's shirt and just being kind of disappointed in the choice. So, yeah, that makes sense. And also Roman's the highest merch seller in a time where we do have the internet and people are getting this stuff shipped to China, India, you name it. You know what I mean? It's available everywhere. So, and I think still overall, Stone Cold has sold more shirts. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like nobody's going to stop that. Nobody's going to be able to top them numbers, man. That Austin 316. And I don't have one even. What the hell? I need to get one. What kind of self-respecting Austin fan doesn't have an Austin 316 shirt?
We're gonna make good on that for sure. That's what we're gonna do. Mick Mack says Cena is better than Rock and Austin.
Yeah, that's true.
Ooh, and I met him, and I embarrassed myself. Do you have an embarrassing wrestler story?
Which wrestler have I embarrassed myself? You know, I'm trying to think. I've been pretty good. For the most part, I haven't met like a shitload of wrestlers, but I'd say I'm pretty good at being cool. I'm trying to think of the time that I kind of like marked out a little too hardcore, like freaked out. I was like, oh man, I can't believe I'm meeting this person. But I can't remember. You know, maybe I blew it a little bit with Chris Jericho. Okay. We were hanging out backstage. I was actually invited back to the show and stuff like this. And, you know, I told Chris, like, hey, man, you know, me and my dad used to watch you. Like, we've been at your live shows. Like, he was a huge wrestling fan back in the day, you know, kind of telling him that whole thing. And he was like, yeah. You could tell, like, he was in full Fozzy mode. Like, he's just like, I don't want to hear anything about wrestling. And I can't blame him at all. Like, I would probably react kind of a similar way, you know, or could react a similar way. I could understand. And I've been in that position, not to say that like I get punished all the time, but I definitely have a lot of friends that get punished all the time. And I just try to be understanding. You know, my dad, growing up around him and seeing him interact with fans, and whether it's a forced interaction or, you know, it's by choice. I've really always tried to just be as cool as I can, you know, with everybody as much as I can, you know, like you try your best because we all know what it's like to be that fan and to kind of freak out a little bit and to have that moment where you're like, fuck, like I'm talking to so-and-so right now. Like, I can't believe this is happening, you know?
No, 100%. I actually do have a CM Punk deal. So first time I met him was actually at a MMA event, CFFC. Like out in Coachella, right before the pandemic happened. It was a cool dude, but my buddy who actually trained under Josh Barnett had fucked up his neck, so it was just a weird kind of deal. And then the second time I went, it was that horror movie that he made with the Soska twins, I believe it was, and they had
under the fucking the person
something about an evil house and eyes were coming out of the fucking chimney and shit. And no, he was cool. AJ was cool. I had a blazer that the blazer that I wore that night when we met, right? And he signed it, and the only other signature that I had on the blazer was Great Muda, and he asked me about it, and I said it, but it was so under my breath because bitch, like a something bitchy, like a bitch mode was right here in my esophagus. I was just like, yeah.
Dude, it happens, bro. It fucking happens.
Yeah.
You freeze up, you get butterflies, like whatever, and it's just like you can't talk. I seen you on the TV, man.
Yeah. And you're trying to disassociate yourself from TV, that person, and it just doesn't happen. It just keeps on going, and right there.
And you just keep blowing it worse and worse, and you're like, oh no, now I'm getting myself into a hole.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a hard thing to approach. I know the feeling.
Yeah. And Mick says Virgil is the best. Fuck Virgil. Have I told you my Virgil story?
No, but really? Virgil still owes OOC a tenner, so you know what I mean. He better pay him back.
Ooh.
So OSW review for those OSW review fans out there.
Yeah, shout out to them. But I didn't even know it was like I didn't know what the fuck an indie was or whatever. I just saw a bunch of WWF guys on a card. Begged my parents to go. This was at the Silver Nugget Casino, way the fuck off the strip in Vegas, right? And I wanted to get it wasn't even this was mid 90s. So I wanted to get an autograph from Virgil, right? This motherfucker hits on my mom in front of me and my dad.
Is this a Vincent era?
No,
Virgil?
This is like
pre-Vincent.
Yeah, pre-Vincent, because he was.
This is when he wrestled Jim the Clanville Neidhart.
Actually, you know what?
Around that time,
around that fucking time, bro. Because Anvil was on the card too. And the way that I remember this is because the arena for the fucking place, right, was downstairs and the casino upstairs, right? So I was waiting, and I had like my little autograph book and whatever, and I'm standing with my mom, dad, and sister, and something knocks me on my ass, and I look up. And it's a shirtless Jim the Anvil Neidhart, straps down in fucking the Hart Foundation, full on gimmick, but straps down. And I was standing in front of the fucking cigarette machine, the ones where you pull the knob and whatever.
Classic, yeah.
Yeah, and he wanted to get his cigarettes before his match and shit like that. Knocks me on my ass. So I went from that to going downstairs and Virgil fucking hitting on my mom. So I was like, fuck this, man.
This is the worst day of your life as a wrestling fan right there.
Yeah.
Oh, man, dude. So I have a Virgil story now, too, oddly enough. The other day. This is very recent. This is very recent. Like less than a month. I tagged, because, I'm some of my friends have made this joke, and so I'm running with it now. Whereas I'm the heater of most of the bands that I'm in, you know what I mean? Or just I'm the enforcer or whatever. So I said something like that, channeling my best Kevin Nash or Virgil, you decide. And I tagged both of them. And I tagged Virgil, and I get a message from Virgil, a DM, right off the bat. And you know what? Here, I'll pull it out right now. Maybe this is bad mojo for reading Virgil's DM live.
Oh man, if my mom were alive, I think Virgil would be in her DM. So, no harm, no foul.
This is partially a legit message, and then it goes into gimmick. So it's Rain, brother, thanks for the love. Grateful for it, man, for real. Just an FYI, I made a video game. It's a big deal for me. I really would love everyone I know in the world to download it, please, with a bunch of S's. Let me know, brother. Much love for being a fan. Keep dripping beef.
Wow. Yeah, because
it's an advertisement for Meat Sauce Madness. You can see that's real Virgil, baby.
That's real Virgil.
But this is what I like is he really, to make it seem real, he emphasized the rain. I'm really talking to you like rain. You know what I mean? It's like, bro.
I love how you like you theorize the mindset of Virgil as he's sending you DMs that are partially, partially sincere and then half fucking gimmick and let me, buy my fucking mobile game.
Well, I know that feeling too, because there's been a lot of times where it's like I need a singer or I have a favor to ask or like I need something from people, and I'll start sending DMs to like people of interest for this certain category. Like, hey man, what's up? You know what I mean? Not much. How's it going, man? Oh, not much. I'm just chilling, blah, 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 this and that. And then I wait until it gets to like the fourth exchange and I'm like, well, hey, and then I post like the fucking pitch,
Wow.
You gotta drag him in a little bit. You don't want everybody, because if I just sent that message to everybody, then they're not even gonna read it or reply to it, right? But if I go, hey, drag you in a little bit, then at least I can get you to think about it and kind of guilt you into being like, well, you know what? Let me see what I could do, or let me see who I know. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's the art of the deal, baby. Not to say that that's actually the art of the deal, but something like that. You know what I mean? I have not read that book, to be fair.
I wonder who's the author. What happened to that guy?
Right. Whatever happened to that guy? WWE Hall of Famer, dude.
Yeah. Oh fuck! You want to know how I knew that guy became president? Right. So
from wrestling.
I went to just like
because he learned pro wrestling and used it on the American people, and it fucking worked.
It fucking worked. Still working. It's not like it's a gimmick that's not over. Like it's not dead in the water. It's not fucking Curran White. No, this shit is.
They still got those Trump 2024 signs rolling out,
bro. So here's the thing: I was working, right, and I had a fucking horrible ass migraine, and I was going through it. But I was like, my fucking civil duty, like I'm gonna go fucking vote, right? You go fucking vote, come back home, and I take like 2 aspirin gimmicks, and I fucking take my silly ass to bed, right? Then it's like 3 a.m. I wake up, and I was like, wonder who fucking won, right? Like, and I didn't give a shit one way or another, right? And I was like, you know what? No, fuck it. I want to see what the results on Raw was, because that was a Monday night when the election shit was going down, right? So I go on Raja.com, just like I've done since fucking high school, right? And it's like WWE Hall of Famer is now the 45th president of the United States. I was like, oh shit, Jesse Ventura made the run-in. Oh no.
I forgot he was a Hall of Famer. Fuck.
Yes, fuck. Damn it, Raja.com. Yeah.
Dude, I wish Jesse Ventura would have come in with a steel chair. That would have been great, man.
Dude, and Rogan, like I want him, Rogan. That's kind of the I don't care who's 1A, 1B. Them both run and see what the fuck happens so we could get shrooms in the White House.
Yeah, Jesse Ventura and The Rock, dude. Let's just have it be that, bro. Have The Rock be president, have Jesse be vice president. Jesse will be like the Dick Cheney. He'll be giving him all the advice, but it's good advice. That's the difference. And then, The Rock will be the public face. Nobody will ever start a war with us, ever.
Never.
Because The Rock is our president. What the fuck are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, fuck. I ain't fucking with that guy.
Yeah, and have you seen Young Rock?
No, I haven't, but I've heard mixed reviews. Is it good? Is it worth checking out?
He's, if nothing else, just know that he is like not even subliminally, like he's fucking sowing the seeds. They're like, hey, because it's before they get into like the fucking timepieces and shit like that, right? They're like somebody like Mario Lopez or the guy from the fucking Dictator, right? It's like, hey, President Rock or whatever. He's putting firmly in your fucking mind that this guy you could be a president,
We're beginning to slowly manifest the reality that The Rock has created for us.
Yeah.
The Rock is like Scarlet Witch, and he's like, okay, I'll have a TV show, and then of course it'll fucking come true,
Yeah.
I mean, his wrestler character was essentially an actor, and then he just became an actor, and I was like, oh, there you go.
That's fucking it. Mick Mac says I got Eric Bischoff's AWA blazer. Oh shit.
God damn.
Damn,
for
man.
sale?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. DM us, McMac. Let's do that. And the year that my mom got hit on by Virgil, 94, I'm going to assume yes, because like he's in WCW in 95 as a part of the NWO. So
no, it wasn't until late 96, 97.
Okay.
Because Bash at the Beach was 96.
Oh shit, you're right.
Yeah, Virgil was out for a hot minute. I know he was dropped from WWE probably around like 92.
Right.
93, and then he was doing the indie. So 94 makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And Virgil said he has a restraining order against Eric Bischoff. He said Eric is obsessed with him. I've got the clip. DM us, McMac.
That's amazing. I love the fact that Virgil's constantly being texted by Eric Bischoff. Eric just can't get enough.
Can't get enough of his meat. What is it?
He's trying to get him to run a train on his wife like Ice Train, right?
Oh, actually, more like Hogan.
Was it Hogan? I don't know. I don't know all the details.
Dude, there's a whole Netflix documentary on the whole fucking sordid life of fucking Hogan and him trying to take out. Dude, it's even weird, right? So obviously,
what is this called? What?
It's God. Because Aisha Raymond, like from the Mae Young Classic, we did a review show where I just shit on the shit human being that Hulk Hogan is, right? Do you remember like early days of YouTube and fucking Warrior was like, oh, fucking Hogan, he was calling him Terry, right? Like you're a fucking horrible friend. You basically banged Elizabeth. You and your wife were swingers and everything.
Yeah.
And the whole shit is true. The whole shit is true.
It's like, I mean, I was listening the other day to Cornette when he had the top 10 lies that Hulk Hogan told, and like, are they true or not? And every fucking one of them was an absolute lie,
Yeah.
It's like, okay. Hey, man, the crazy thing is, like, you would think being Hulk Hogan is like entertaining enough of a life to where you don't have to fucking lie about anything. Like, you're fucking Hulk Hogan, you know what I mean? Like, your life's fucking... You were professional wrestling for a long time and still are. It's still like, what does Hulk Hogan do? That's what a professional wrestler is, if you ask anybody, But yeah, man, he's got that pathological liar syndrome, and a lot of people do. It's kind of that egomaniac shit where you get so full of yourself that you feel the need to be more grandiose than you really are at all times. It's like, okay. I get it, man. I lied a lot when I was a little kid. What I mean? I told everybody all sorts of shit. You know what I mean? And then you start to alienate everybody around you when you do that. And people go, well, fuck, I don't want to hang out with this guy because who knows what the fuck he's telling is the truth or not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but never let the truth get in the way of a good story, guys.
There you go. So I guess... what is it? Are you talking about your dick or the drummer from Chainflower's dick?
No comment.
No, for those who don't know, right? That was the whole deal, right? Not to spoil any of the Netflix shit. I encourage you guys to watch, but basically what happens, Hogan and his wife, they break up. The wife gets with somebody that is a dead ringer for Hogan in 1978, right? And then
he gets with somebody who's a dead ringer for his daughter.
Yes, fucking Jennifer Samad. Yeah. Jennifer to McDaniel, right?
That shit was wild.
While he's fucking massaging his daughter's ass, but also
that's another thing. Like,
it's a whole fucking thing. And then Nick, the son, ends up damn near making a vegetable out of a fucking Marine by him fucking gallivanting with a race car, like a regular fucking street. Goes like 80 to 100 miles an hour, whatever, fucks up this dude's life, right? And then in the meantime, Hogan wants to commit suicide, right? And his friend, Florida disc jockey, Bubba the Love Sponge, and part-time TNA interviewer guy, right? Because that was a fucking thing. he was like, "Hey, Terry, here's my wife," right? And none of everything was like peachy key, right? Until Bubba was like, nobody knew that Bubba was basically filming Terry Bollea or Hulk Hogan fucking his wife. And that's where everybody cried a foul. Then Gawker was the one who posted it. There's a whole legal battle, which got like funded by Peter Thiel, who has a grudge against Gawker because he's like right-wing billionaire in Silicon Valley. And basically Gawker had put out an op-ed that he may be gay.
Yeah.
Which, yeah. That's a real fucking thing. It's like a multi-million-dollar fucking lawsuit happened.
Yeah, I love it, dude. I need to see this documentary.
I'm gonna DM you. Which Mick Mac says the clip of Virgil saying Bischoff has a restraining, or he has a restraining order on Bischoff. That's in our DM, so I will promptly send that to you. I wish I could play it, but I don't want to fucking get pulled off of YouTube. But yeah,
it needs to be on Eric Fires Back or whatever, you know.
Okay, let's see. I think it's up. Like I want to say Steve Kaufman already clipped up something, so I want to say that it's already happened. But like, yeah, fuck yeah. But Virgil and McMack says, I heard that Trump got cheated out of election. Oh, Jesus
this
Christ.
Guy's trolling right
now.
now.
Man, hell yes. But speaking of non-troll stuff, obviously, right? Like you have done so much in such a you've done this your entire life, but with the Twitch, with Chainflower, there's so many things that you can be thankful for as we're in a season of thanks, right? But let's get some shout outs out of the way of people that have basically got you to where you are today.
People who have gotten me here. Wow. Well, I'll start with my parents, my dad, the drum god, me, the drum demigod, trying to follow in the footsteps. And then my mother, God rest her soul, she always inspired me and believed in me. Gotta give it up to Mom, Evie. Man, let's see. My childhood friend James, who I was in my first real band with, Stasis. We had our first professional recording. We got paid a bunch of money, and we're on like this compilation album with all these other badass metal drummers and stuff. So my buddy James Lambrecht, I gotta thank him. I had to thank Sabian Cymbals and DW Drums for believing in me when nobody else would and nobody else did, and just taking a whim on saying, you know what, this is a good investment. Just like they saw a young Rocky Maivia as a good investment in the WWE. And we'll see if I get to the Rock levels one day. I'm working my way up there.
You have better hair.
Yeah, exactly. Hair, that's the difference. Tool, the band Tool, so many members of that band, Danny Carey, namely, and Adam Jones, the guitar player as well, really influenced my career from a young age as a teenager and set me on the right path, doing the right things, and kind of strayed me away from drugs and alcohol at that age, which a lot of people were getting into. And I just kind of said, fuck that shit. I don't need it. Till I turned 21, and now I like to party, you know what I mean? But I'm really glad that so much of my high school and middle school life was spent focusing on music and having being music the main attraction rather than partying and stuff like that. And then, man, who else can I thank? Man, my great network of friends, people like Eddie who believe in me and who introduced me to people. And, man, I really can say I have one of the greatest circles of friends, group of friends, inner circle, if you will, my own, my very own inner circle. I'm truly blessed, and they believe in me. They believe in my artistry, and they support me. And I know the best thing that I know about my friends is, like, I know they talk about me in other rooms in a good light, because I hear other people come to me saying, hey, you're raining, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Oh, they all say great things about me. They say, you're a great guy, you're a great player, blah, blah, blah. I've heard so much about you, stuff like that, you know? And that means a lot to me, you know, just to have that confidence, because my own sort of, you know, insecurities lead me to believe that every time I leave a room, they're talking shit about me. I'm just like, I just left and they're like, fucking Raanan, thank God he's fucking out of here, man. God, this motherfucker, you know, because I'm definitely not, I'm not everybody's cup of tea necessarily, but you know, speaking of which, our boy Eddie popping into the chat, man.
Absolutely.
You know, he's one of them, dude. I think about all the time. That's just like, man, in the 5 years I've known Eddie or so, maybe 4 or 5 years, he's become a really close and really good friend of mine. You know, somebody I have confidence in with, you know, and somebody too that inspires me because I see the great things that he's doing, the way that his career is going. When I was first on his show, you know, he had a lot of good guests on already, but he was just scratching the surface. That was, you know, 4 or 5 years ago. And now at this point, it's like, man, his shit's getting, you know, airplay everywhere. Everybody's talking about it. And it's all good stuff. It's never like, oh, that fucking rock and roll beer guy. What a shitty podcast. Nobody gives a fuck that. It's like, oh, breaking news on this, you know what I mean? And it's like, man, dude, that's my fucking friend. And you know, I remember doing the first time we did his podcast in my rehearsal space, he drove all the way up to North Hollywood from Long Beach. Wow. And I was like, all right, this guy's fucking, he's dedicated. If he's going to come do that for me, you know, that said a lot about his work ethic and his character. And, you know, I didn't know he was a wrestling fan until that moment. And that was another moment where it's like, oh, did we just become best friends? You know what I mean? Like, you like pro wrestling. And, man, he's introduced me to a lot of great wrestlers. You know, he's introduced me to a guy who's become a really close friend of mine, Chris Dickinson, who, you know, yeah, without Eddie, man, I wouldn't have that guy in my life. And I'm really grateful because he's enriched my life a lot and enlightened it a lot. And you know, I feel like vice versa. And it's a good feeling, man. You know, it's a good feeling, brother. We all love you and we're happy to have you. Not to say that this put Eddie over hour right now, but
yeah, no, 100%. No, I mean, one of the greatest people who have ever lived is the great Eddie Torres, and he'll probably negate me for calling him great, but he is great friend, great. I mean, just a bit of confidence. There's times where like I need my fucking head on straight, and it's echoing the sentiments that you said, right? And it's cool that he's just that person to everyone.
Yeah, and if your friends are a judgment of your character, you know what I mean, and who you are, Eddie's fucking incredible. He's amazing because, I mean, I'm his friend, so you can't get better than that.
No, can't at all. Fuck no. Yeah, you can't at all. Now, in all seriousness, Mick Mac says, in honor of your mom, there's an awesome song called Evie, part 1, 2, and 3. It's by a 70s Aussie band, and it's in 3 parts. It's actually Stevie Wright who composes it, so we'll find it.
Check that out.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that. Thanks for the music tip. So that's not All Japan pro wrestler Stephen Wright, father of Fun Boy Alex Wright.
Yes, Das Wonderkid,
dude. My freaking Alex Wright is my boy, dude. That's one of my favorite, most underrated wrestlers. I loved Alex Wright, and I loved the shitty dance, bro. That's the best thing ever.
So, okay, were you more a Das Wonderkid guy, or were you like, Berlin? Let's
full Das Wonderkid. Yeah, no, Berlin is. I haven't. First of all, I haven't gotten to that part yet in WCW. You know what I mean? But I've seen clips of Berlin, and it's like, no, dude, we need Das Fun Boy, dude. Alex Wright, bro, with the hair, the leather jacket, the dancing fools when he was with Disco.
Yeah,
that was great, you know. And his wrestling was really good. And man, thankfully, my friend Gangrel David Heath shared a video of his father, because I guess he'd wrestled his father in the past, and like a compilation. If you guys want to see work that was so far ahead of its time, as far as like modern wrestling, kind of modern strong style type stuff with heavy submissions and kind of some of the British influence as well, check out Stephen Wright. His stuff in All Japan. Have you ever watched any Stephen Wright?
I've watched the guy on the couch on Half Baked.
Yeah,
That's a,
he's amazing
that,
too.
yeah,
He's
that,
fucking great, dude. Talk about
that's
one of the greatest of all time, man. He's
yeah,
the king of
fucking
one-liners, bro.
deadpan as fuck, you know?
Yeah, dude, the guy on the couch. But
Yeah,
yeah, no, dude. I'm glad I can treat you to some wrestling, Woods. Check out Stephen Wright and be like, fuck, dude, you're gonna see a lot of the stuff that you ended up seeing in like UWFI and
right.
that kind of, you know what I mean? But and then a lot of kind of Zack Sabre-y. I love
Yeah,
that kind of style, the
yeah.
crazy twisting moves and flips and joint manipulation and stuff.
And it's kind of wild because there aren't too many people that recommend stuff to me. Usually, I have a pretty good, what is it, finger on the pulse of
Yeah.
what wrestling is and everything, especially that MMA fusion style.
Yeah.
Big world of sport guy. Fuck, I mean,
Stephen
you're
Wright, bro. If
yeah.
it wasn't for Mick Mac, I wouldn't have been inspired to do that, you know?
See, I appreciate it. Which shout out to Mick Mac. But
Yeah.
also, I mean, you were kind of talking, the Steel Maces or the Gatas and whatever. I mean, look no further than fucking Billy Robinson, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like if you check out just a compilation, a wrestler's wrestler on YouTube, like
Yeah.
it's just that'll fucking get you fucking psyched. Or Johnny Saints, on top of the
Yeah.
world. That
Absolutely.
yeah, man. Shit.
Yeah, Stephen Wright has kind of a similar style, a little more fast paced almost. You know what I mean? He attacks it, bro. I'd say check it out. Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm kind of the same way where it's like, yeah, I've seen, it's almost like music and stuff like that, or video game blah. Yeah, seen that, played that, done that, whatever. But yeah, it's great when you have a friend. That's kind of like what Dickinson is with me. He'll always recommend me Japanese shit that I've never heard of, and like I feel like I know a good amount of that stuff, but he's like, oh, dude, you got to check out like fucking Muta when he was Muto.
Yes.
In, the space flying era, you know what I mean? Or the space hero or whatever the fuck.
Oh God.
Because I remember like Orange Muto, you know what I mean? I've seen all that stuff. But I didn't see the blue pants Muto. And I was like, I didn't even know that existed. I was like, whoa, this is fucking crazy shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Muto is shoot style. The four musketeers. It was like Muta, Hashimoto. I think Jesus Christ. Why am I fucking this up? But Chono, and there's one more. But they were like the four musketeers of New Japan. God damn it.
I can't think of the other one. Because
Yeah.
I think of the
I want to
four
say
pillars.
Tenru?
Tenru was older.
No, and I was gonna say Chosu, but Choshu's also like Tenru-esque. But somebody fucking DM me because
one of those guys.
Yeah, one of those guys. And McMack says in terms of Stevie Wright, he was a singer of the Easy Beats, and they were called the Aussie Beatles. Angus Young's brother was in that band.
Dang, we're getting some musical education right now from Mick Mac. I love it. He's got the facts. He's got Wikipedia. We should call him Mickopedia.
Oh, I was in an ode to Conan. I always call it Wikipedia, like Wookie. Yeah, because I mean, when they were doing that show, whatever, for whatever reason, high as shit or just a pronunciation deal, Conan would be like, "Oh, I looked in Wikipedia," and they would do like a Chewbacca sound.
Dude, he still pronounces Cormier wrong.
What does he do?
He always says Cormier. And
yes.
I'm like, bro, you hear them saying the name. I know you've heard his name. What the fuck?
It happens.
Or Poirier, he says the same thing.
Yeah, same thing. I was just about to say. Yeah, 100%. It's weird that Disco is a more of a linguist than K-Dog. You know?
Yeah, man. And I really love the element that they have, you know, the conversations and the arguments and all that stuff. I mean, it's great, you know. It's great to show you that, hey, people can argue, people can disagree and still be friends and still get along. And I wish more of the world, man, Conan is just, he's really, really smart when it comes to that whole thing. You know what I mean? He seems to be very socially and politically aware, you know, in general. And he doesn't sugarcoat shit. You know what I mean? So I really like a lot of the stuff he has to say, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and just shout out to that MLW fucking podcast, that OG one, because if not for, I mean, that was the closest that we got to Vince in the writers' room with Court, MSL, and Conan, right before. I mean, Bruce Pritchard starts his podcast, and I believe that started on MLW.
Yeah.
There was quite a few. Cornette started on MLW.
Yeah.
Kevin Sullivan and MSL had a show as well. Like,
yeah, they were
shout out.
groundbreakers for the podcasts. 100%.
I mean, if not for that, MLW as a promotion wouldn't have never gotten resurrected. Court Bauer thought he was done with wrestling, and from the funds of that, I mean, that was the first and only podcast that I actually went behind the paywall and paid $10 a month for. I don't even think it was $10 a month. I think it was like $50 for the year. It was just something so cheap for everything they were doing. So I mean, shout out to Court Bauer and that MLW podcast.
Oh, 100%. And the wrestling is great, man. I'm a huge fan of that product. I think most of the stuff they put out is great. I think overall it's one of the more consistent and well booked wrestling shows. And I mean, it did have one of the greatest moments, and at least one of my favorite like huge markout moments, where it was like they had Davey Boy, they had the Von Erichs and Killer Cross all team up on the same team against Team Filthy. And I was like, oh, that just reminded me of like the good old days when they would have like those big 4 or 5 man matches with like DX, like heel DX, and like The Rock, Kane, Test, fucking Mick Foley, like they would all get together, or Hardcore Holly, whatever. I don't know if Hardcore Holly was ever in one of those main events. I'm probably that,
well, that was definitely that WrestleMania 10 match that didn't go through, and that's one of the reasons why Jacques Rougeau is still on the outs with Vince McMahon and the WWE, is because something fucked up, and that there was supposed to be a big 10-man tag at Mania 10.
It was because Shawn and Razor.
Oh, Razor went too long with the ladder match. Yeah.
Yeah, motherfuckers, dude.
Yeah.
Those poor guys didn't get their match that would go down in history forever, just like that ladder match, that big 10-man WrestleMania 10 match.
Sometimes you got to sacrifice, man, like fucking Scott Stapp and Creed.
Yeah, but they kept except they kept the Doink and Dink versus Bam Bam and freaking Luna match. I mean, they could have cut the Macho Man, Crush.
Oh, him hanging Crush? Come on.
Trying to hang Crush.
That was my favorite Mania.
Yeah. Crush trying with all his might to hold himself up like in a handstand. Oh, Macho Man is dragging this police.
And then he just crumples like in the most like anticlimactic.
Falls down.
Which, funny enough, Mania 10 is my favorite Mania.
Really?
Yes. Wow. Okay, do you want to know why?
Let's hear it.
All right. So we get consistent booking all throughout the fucking card, right? So we have Brett and Owen in the opener, arguably the greatest WrestleMania opener of all time, right? And Owen beating Brett, right? And pinned, victory roll, sits down, Owen beats Brett, right? So we've got the, what would be the ongoing storyline between Brett and Owen, right? Mm-hmm. Then we still got Brett, right? Who him and Lex Luger, they fucking toppled over at the Royal Rumble at the same time. So we got to finish that up, tie up that loose end, right? So they fucking do it. Brett goes on. Then Brett goes on to the main event with Yoko, right? Yeah. And what happens there? Brett beats Yoko when Yoko's going for a banzai drop and slips on the banana peel. Brett fucking hooks a leg. And that was the first time that we'd seen Yoko pinned, right? Mm. And then, to me, what ties it all, the fucking
it wasn't the first time we saw Yoko pinned.
What was the first time?
WrestleMania 9.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I extracted that from memory because fucking Hogan. I extract Hogan from my memory, just like the
Brett
WWE.
hasn't. Brett hasn't. Brett still.
Hogan hasn't either. Fuck it. Shit. Hogan. Son
of a bitch. All right, sorry, but go on.
Yeah, no. But that last, kind of imagery that we see, Brett getting hoisted up, I think it was like Scott Steiner and somebody else. I think maybe Bob Holly, right?
Yeah, all those guys were underneath. Yeah.
And then we have Owen come out, and we think there's going to be a mea culpa. Savage sits on the rope, inviting Owen in and whatever. And
Just
Owen
looks
was
and
just like,
turns around.
yes.
Yeah.
That was almost the template that they used for Mania 30 with Danielson, So, like, that to me, it was consistent booking all throughout. To me, it was the best. I mean, aside, you can argue Mania 3 with Hogan, Andre. A lot of people will. But that was almost the best of the booking of Vince and Pat Patterson, who I think that's one of the reasons why the business or the WWE business in terms of storyline booking, you're seeing Vince without Pat, and this is what we have.
Yeah. That's probably true.
What's your favorite Mania?
That's what I'm trying to think. I'm like, what is my favorite Mania, like from top to bottom? And
it doesn't even have to be a favorite top to bottom. Like,
well, I mean, honestly, one that's really memorable for me, or that one that I definitely watched more than once, and like, even though it's a modern era one, is 31.
Ooh.
The Santa Cruz or San Jose Mania.
The play button.
Yeah, Mania. The WrestleMania play button. Yeah. Because it started out, it had a really good like group tag match in the pre-show with Cesaro and Kid going over. And then it had that awesome Intercontinental title ladder match with all the boys, That was fun. The Andre, who gives a fuck about that? The Triple H and Sting match, even though I don't like the finish, I lost my shit when the NWO came out. Was just like the greatest moment. And then when Kevin Nash pretended to tear a quad, that was fucking amazing. And then another example of kind of the long-term storytelling where you have Randy beating Seth at the beginning of the night, and then later on you have Seth cashing in, and that set up the next program with Randy and Seth and for the title. I thought that was kind of a cool little thing, how they kind of did that on the same night,
We can't forget they're talking about that match, right? And that fucking amazing RKO where, Seth goes in for the curb stop.
Ever.
Fuck yeah. And I mean, he went like 15 feet, right? That's not an exaggeration.
He was up there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
the main event too was really great with Brock and Roman, because we hadn't seen it before. You know what I mean? And to me, it was like, goddamn, Brock was fucking laying it in. I was like, this shit's fucking seems pretty fucking real. It's pretty fucking hardcore. And then the ending with Seth, and that was a good one. I mean, 20 was great. The first one I ever saw was WrestleMania 2000.
Really? In Anaheim?
I wasn't there, but I mean that was the first WrestleMania that I watched. I couldn't. I remember we didn't start like ordering the pay-per-views religiously in the beginning of my fandom. It wasn't until like after a certain time where it was like, okay, I think it was like the first one we ordered was St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
Ooh,
and that was so exciting because it was Vince and Austin in a cage. Finally, Vince is going to get his. And I remember going over to my aunt's house, and we were like, hey, here's this thing. Like, my parents just gave them like some cash and be like, can we order this pay-per-view? Like Rainan's really into this, blah, blah. And I remember they all kind of like sat around like my aunt's side of the family and like watched wrestling for the first time. And they're like, wasn't really their thing. But me and my family were like super into it.
Oh.
And that was that was very memorable. So the following WrestleMania that I had seen was 2000, and it was kind of a disappointment in many ways, especially the fact that Triple H went over in the end. I'm a young kid there. I was really bummed about that. There was some pretty bullshitty matches on there, but there were also some good ones. Actually, another one that's probably the best that kind of gets overlooked is 2017. X7.
17, right? Houston, right?
Yeah. With that main event match is great. I think one of the opening matches is Jericho and Jericho,
Regal,
Angle,
right?
and Benoit.
Okay,
No, that was the year before. I think this one was Jericho.
Regal,
no, yeah, because Eddie wrestled Test.
Okay.
For the European Championship. in that match, and that was a good match too. You know what I mean? A very good test match, oddly enough.
I'm just checking on that because I thought I could have swore. No, I'm probably remembering it wrong, but I thought Regal was here for the European Championship.
You're right. Yeah, Regal was in. So it was Regal and Jericho, and
Right.
then maybe it was Eddie, Benoit, and Angle in the triple threat for the IC or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah. It was actually. Oh, and that was also the fucking gimmick battle royal where fucking Sheik won because nobody could throw him over.
He couldn't bump.
Yes. Which, I mean, also, that was the reintroduction of Bobby Heenan and Mean Gene Okerlund to the WWF or WWE audience. So after their WCW sojourn, so that was special.
I hardly knew them. You know what I mean? I was so Attitude Era that all these guys coming back in were just like, some of them I knew, you know, Scott Hall, Hulk, Kevin Nash, etc., whatever. But yeah, as those guys started to come in, like Mean Gene, Bobby the Brain, I probably didn't know 90% of the people in the gimmick battle royal, you know what I mean? And now it's like, oh, I know everyone, like the back of my hand, you know, the goon.
Wild Bill Irwin, dude, that fucker was a star in World Class.
I never saw any of his World Class stuff.
Oh,
so maybe that's something I got to check out.
Yes, absolutely. That dude was, I mean, especially they were doing it in Houston. Now, Houston was Paul Bosch territory, you know, obviously, what is it? It was Dallas where the fucking Von Erichs and World Class and the Sportatorium or whatever. But still, it was fucking Wild Bill Irwin, man. And he was the goon and he was somebody else. I can't remember, but box of gimmicks. Insert box of gimmicks there and what have you.
Poor Tony Anthony.
Yes. Oh, fucking dirty white boy. Jesus Christ.
Have you watched any of the Smoky Mountain stuff?
Yes. Oh, I mean, what, dude? It's weird with Cross, right? Because you get Cross, right? If you look at Sid Udy, Psycho Sid Justice, or whatever, his gimmick in Memphis was Lord Humongous with fucking hockey masks and S&AM fucking chains, right? Then you get to Smoky Mountain, and you've got Glenn Jacobs as Unabomb teaming with Al Snow, same fucking deal. And then their fucking little grandchild or child is if they fucked, if Sid and Kane fucked, you would get Cross. At least WWE or Vince McMahon's version of it.
That's how he sees it for sure.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Oh man.
So vascular.
Dude, I love Sid, man. I've really grown to love Sid a lot in the past few years, you know, just he's amazing. When Sid was over, dude, as a baby face, like that shit was so good, bro. That shit was so fucking good, dude. I love it. And dude, I started popping so hard when Cross started doing that shit.
Really?
I was like, bro. Yeah, he started doing it on the indies for a while towards the end. Towards the end, he would do the fucking pound. And I'm like,
yes.
Bro, you're fucking pop, like, every time, bro. Every time it would get me.
That's, I mean, good times. And I think it was like the fucking WrestleBots page on Instagram. They relive the greatness of Sid and Goldberg and the Goldberg.
Goldberg! My car!
And he asked the security guard, he's like,
where's my car? My car!
There's 16! 16! And there was no other fucking car.
Dude, I swear to God, Sid deserves a fucking Emmy for that shit, bro. An Oscar, whatever the fuck, dude. That shit was fucking great.
What's that guy from The Room?
Tommy Wiseau.
Yes, he's wrestling Tommy Wiseau, right?
Pretty
right?
I guess so. I like to think of him more as maybe, I don't know, who's somebody a little non sequitur that's not. I think of him more as like Nicolas Cage.
Oh, okay, the intensity.
Because he's better, you know. He's like Tommy Wiseau is like he's a failure. You know what I mean? Like Tommy Wiseau is like a miracle that shit fucking worked out. Whereas like Sid at least looks like a fucking star. Like he can wrestle. Like he gets it. You know what I mean? Like for the most part, and he's better than a lot of the big men or men that have been his size. You know what I mean? He's definitely he's like got charisma. Whereas like Tommy was, man, he's a swindler, bro.
Oh, okay. So I got you. Is Tommy Wiseau the non-wrestling version of Jumping Jeff Farmer?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yep.
And things aren't, I don't like it when things aren't going my way.
You got me mad now.
Yep. Yeah. Man, I don't know. Who would I compare? Because, like, again, Jumpin' Jeff Farmer has one moment. Whereas, like, Tommy Wiseau has been able to, like, stretch one moment into a lot of stuff. Like, Tommy Wiseau is more like the Virgil of
wrestling. You know I mean? Like it.
That makes more sense because it's like he basically stuck around way longer than he ever needed to. He tricked people into hiring him in many places, especially WCW. He basically undercut Godfather to get that job. Is what the backstage story is. You know what I mean? And,
I like it.
Yeah. Whereas like Sid is more like like a Nick Cage. It's almost like an Adam Sandler in a way, where it's like he's done some good stuff. He still keeps doing his thing, and some people hate him just for hating's sake. But it's like realistically, like you just have to accept like fucking Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, like those are fucking hilarious movies. And like
yes, they are.
Sid, Sid's great, man. Sid, dude, amazing match. Sid at Survivor Series '96. Granted, he's wrestling Shawn Michaels, but that's a good fucking match, man. Watch that match. Sid knows what he's fucking doing. Sid's working the crowd, and that's, man, I miss that era of wrestling and how over wrestling was. Like from then and especially into the late 90s and early 2000s, when you just had the signs, man. When you go back and watch how hot a crowd was, and how everybody had fucking signs. Everybody brought a sign. It was like it was a sea of signs, and people were genuinely happy and excited and really reacting, and nobody was bored or fucking sick of this guy or sick of that guy. It was genuine heat and genuine fucking love. And it was like, man, that was, not to harken back and sound like a fucking old man, but there's that aspect of wrestling fans is missing as well, because, you know, a lot of the fans aren't the same, right? It was more of a general, wider audience. And now it's like a nerd subculture thing where it's like, man, I go to fucking wrestling and I'm like the coolest guy there. And that shouldn't happen. You know what I mean? Like that definitely wasn't the case back in the day, where it's like, now, man, I'm like light years ahead of some of these guys. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You go to a New Japan show, you're like, fuck, dude, like, is this the first time you've been out of the house and like fucking since the lockdown started, or like what's going on?
Jesus, heal me softly.
Hey man, you were fine, you know what I mean? You weren't fucking, you're not that much of a nerd. Look, like I said, I'm a nerd, bro, and there's nothing wrong with being a nerd. But there's a degree where there's like, oh man, like if me, a nerd who like, I have some socially awkward friends, I have some weird shit going on, some weird people that I hang out with, and I understand that aspect of life and friendship and human nature. But yeah, sometimes it's just like, oh man, like they're legit at a New Japan show, fucking white people. Okay, these are some fucking white people, and blame them. You can always blame this on white people. Every time there was like a move or a match or whatever clap, they would literally do the Japanese golf clap.
Yes.
All right, bro, we get it. We get it. You really respect Japanese culture. And so do
you don't watch the Kevin Kelly commentary. That's what you said.
Yeah, dude, it's like we're hearing it's America. Make some noise for these motherfuckers.
Yeah,
they want a wild ruckus fucking crowd. Tomohiro Ishii and fucking Hiroshi Tanahashi fucking flew all the way fucking over from Japan. Like, get fucking crazy American for them. Don't fucking whatever.
I agree.
Or, if that makes you happy, honestly, it shouldn't bother me. I don't like the fact that stuff bothers me. Like at the show we went to, bro, you weren't sitting there, but this fucking guy made some comment or some joke in every single spot that happened, and like loud, and like everybody can hear me, and like make sure. And it was just like, man, I would like to enjoy this wrestling show.
Yeah.
And I want people to be ruckus and people to be wild and people saying shit. But when there's like some quiet moments and you're just always like trying to like squeeze jokes in, it's like you're trying to get yourself over. And I understand that aspect too. You know, some people really need attention. Like maybe this is his chance to get it all out and say, okay, you know, now I can finally say what I want and all these pent up things about my boss or whatever, you know. But like at the same time too, it's just like, man, you know, we're here to enjoy a show, watch a show. And
yeah,
as a musician and as somebody who has so much respect for the art of wrestling, I feel it's almost a duty of mine to be a good audience participant. And especially when I have friends, you know, who are working in the show, it's like, you know, not to say that I live full kayfabe and like boo all the heels and cheer all the baby faces or whatever. But at the same time, it's like I want to support this and make the experience great for everybody and make it so this is like, oh, this is a collective thing. We're all seeing this and all hearing this, not like I'm being distracted by this one dude who keeps talking during the fucking match. You know what I mean? And not just talking, but yelling to where like, yeah, it's a good thing that I had friends working that show that night, or else that guy would have been in for a world of hurt. I would have shot on him, man.
Ooh.
I would have double-legged him and put him in a heel hook.
Or you could have been the guy, what is it, the Seth Rollins Sacco guy from last night.
Yeah, man. Well, fuck, dude. That guy had some power behind that spear. That was a goal, legit.
Do you know what? So allegedly, this is what happened. So dude got trolled by a fake Seth Rollins account.
Wow.
Paid money. I don't know the monetary amount, but that's it. And he kind of like had the wherewithal to be like, I'm buying a ticket. Like, first off, I'm fucking giving fucking who I think is Seth Rollins money, right? Like he needs it. All right.
Yeah.
And then buy a ticket to fucking Raw, right? And then risk it for the biscuit and fucking tackle the fucker because, like, there's so many wrestling fan-esque things there.
Dude, I don't fucking get that one bit. Trying to jump across the fucking barricade. It's like I know exactly how this ends every fucking time. And guess what? It ends with the guy getting their ass beat. There was a guy who jumped a fucking midget wrestling show the other day. And he got his ass beat by the fucking midgets. You know what I mean? So it's like, dude, don't fuck with wrestlers while they're wrestling. That's fucking rule number one of attending any wrestling show. Number two, don't fuck with, unless somebody comes into you, you know, don't fuck with any performer that's on a stage. You know what I mean? Let them fucking do their thing. You're paying to be an observer, not a participant. You know, it's fucking different. And then, yeah, man, like, why the fucking dude, there's that one dude who who got punched by Fatu. You know what I'm talking about?
Which
the
one?
Guy who got fucking he jumped
Recently?
some barricade or some shit. Yeah, like a couple months ago. Fatu knocked him the fuck out. I think it was at a PCW show. Actually.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
Back in the day. But yeah, it was like a big thing. That guy was at the fucking GCW show that Fatu was at the other day, like kind of like bowing up to him and shit. Like, dude, what the fuck are you thinking, bro? Like, first of all,
you're not thinking.
Of all the people to fuck with, number one, like an incredibly nice guy. I've known Jacob since he was a student, you know, and he's always been super cool, super respectful, and just a cool guy to hang out with. Good guy. Secondly, fucking now especially, I mean, back then he was like jacked. He was buff, but he looked way smaller. Now that he's kind of put on this size, he looks even fucking scary. It's like, no.
Scarier. Yeah.
Especially not fucking with this guy. And he's a fucking Samoan. So there's three things keeping you away from this guy, yet you have some sort of fucking attraction. Like, it's a mental illness. It has to be, to where like you think you're gonna like fuck this guy up or whatever. Like fucking 90% of the wrestlers in that ring don't want to fuck with Jacob Fatu. You know what I mean? Especially the fucking, half the GCW fucking
roster.
They're
even the deathmatch guy, like, no, I'll take light tubes to the head. Let's do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely, bro. I don't get that, man. But whatever, dude. I guess it's the Darwin Awards, man.
Yeah,
stupid people gonna do stupid shit. I mean, they're still streaking football games and doing all this shit. So, but I feel like even that's so much safer. Like it's like jumping the fucking jumping into the tiger fucking cage. It's like, what do you think was gonna fucking happen? The tiger fucking ripped your ass to shreds, bro.
Yes. Oh, and McVack says, look up Bradshaw knocking out Fan in 1999. OMG.
The one thing I wish, the one bit of Bradshaw footage that I wish existed, that would be the greatest thing to relive, is the Joey Styles knocking him out. I wish there was footage of that.
Yes.
There's only the tail, and who knows how true it is, but there seems to be enough witnesses.
It seems to be, 100%. Like, that's, some pretty legit guys stand behind that. So, fuck yes. Which, okay.
What's that? Oh, I was thinking that would have had to be the greatest moment in the history of time to just be able to witness that. I would love to see that.
Agreed. Which, by the way, Rain, you've been so gracious with your time. You're fucking awesome. But for people that want to get more inclined with what you're doing, all your projects, a Chain Flower, I've linked it in the description, but I've said it once before, but it bears repeating. Where can they find you on the interwebs?
Everything is at Raanan Bozzio. My name, no spaces, RAANENBOZZIO. Except for my Twitch channel. My Twitch channel is Rain Plays, RAANPLAYS. So if you like gaming, if you like drumming, I think I might start doing a little maybe some wrestling watch-alongs or some stuff like that every now and then. I'll get into that phase eventually, but if you like that stuff, check it out. I don't still use a VCR TV, but some games I play do have the option for scan lines. So
cables,
I was playing Third Strike with scan lines for like the first fucking 8 streams until I figured out how to turn them off on Fightcade. So check me out on there. I'm really trying to grow my Twitch. That's my goal for the year, for the next foreseeable future, while Twitch is still a viable platform. If you could support me there, that's one of the most important places. And there you can find everything else too, and everything links to everything. So just man, any support and love is graciously appreciated. And thank you for having me on, Woods, man. It means a lot. It was nice meeting you the other day at that wrestling show and connecting, and just like the great networking wheel of Eddie Torres continues to spin down the hill and gain momentum, thus our two pathways collided, and here we are, dude. So thank you for having me on, and it's been great talking to you. You know what I mean? You're very very easy to have a conversation with. So anytime, man, I'm here.
Well, likewise, my brother. Just thank you for this. Thank you for this time. And thank you guys for joining us here at According to Woods. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the According to Woods podcast on literally everywhere. Just put in my name in the Google machine and it comes up. But, Raanan, you're subscribed to the podcast, aren't you?
Absolutely. According to Woods, it's the best podcast that streams out of Los Feliz, California.
Yeah,
number one. The number one.
Number one. Yes, because I was going to say, RRBG, that's, fuck yeah, man. They've got awards and shit like that. So shout out to
We'll get you there one day, man. Now, see, it's all good. Now you got the Bozzio bump. Yes. I showed up on your show that the numbers are just going to skyrocket, bro.
Just saying.
Your numbers are shooting higher than Adrian, what's his name? The Bastard Pack Shooting Star Press. There you go. How's that?
Fuck yes, I like it. I was going to say New
figure out what his name was again. It's like Adrian Neville the Bastard. No, the Bastard Pack. There you go.
That sounds like fucking Owen Hart doing Stu, like impression. So fuck yeah.
He's a big bastard.
Yeah. Fuck yes. So go ahead and subscribe to the podcast. Go ahead and follow Raanan everywhere, especially Twitch. And if you don't believe me, you don't believe Raanan, and I don't know what you wouldn't, here's Zeta Zhang to help convince you to subscribe to this podcast.
Hey, this is Zeta Zhang. Make